All right, today we're going to try a really fun creative experiment. Can we take something from the natural world and, really deconstruct it to build a beautiful, functional website? We're going from a butterfly in the wild to a design on the web. Let's see how it works. So this is the big question that's going to guide us through this whole thing. What if a website was actually inspired by a butterfly? And I don't just mean slapping a picture of one on the homepage. I mean really capturing its color, its movement, its whole vibe, and turning that into a digital experience. It's this cool challenge, right? Where biology and web design kind of collide. And here it is, our muse. This is the eastern tiger swallowtail. It's one of the most famous butterflies in eastern North America, and you can totally see why. That amazing, vibrant yellow and black pattern, the shape of its wings, it's just the perfect subject for our little design project. Okay, so where do you even start? Well, you start with what you can see. Before we can get to the feeling of a butterfly, we've got to break down its looks. So this first part is all about translating those incredible colors and patterns into a digital color palette we can actually work with. This chart does a really great job of breaking it down for us. You can see the design is totally dominated by that vibrant yellow. That's about 60% of our palette. Then you've got the deep black for contrast, taking up another 30%. And then those little pops of blue and orange from the hindwings, those are going to be our secret weapons, our accent colors. But of course, yellow isn't just one color, is it? We can break it down to create totally different moods. You could use a super bright, energetic yellow for your buttons, something that really grabs your attention. Or you could go with a softer, almost buttery yellow for a background to give the whole site this warm, optimistic feel. And the same exact thing goes for black. Pure, true black gives you that super high contrast you need for text, making everything really sharp and easy to read. But sometimes a softer, off black is just easier on the eyes. And a cool-toned black, one with just a hint of blue, could add this layer of sophistication that would look amazing next to our blue accents. And this is where we get to play with those beautiful little details from the butterfly's wings. That sky blue, it's perfect for things like links. It gives off this calm, trustworthy vibe. And that little hint of orange? It's absolutely ideal for hover effects or maybe a notification pop-up. Just a little splash of color to say, hey, look over here. Now, beyond just solid colors, the background itself can bring the butterfly's whole world to life. We could use subtle textures that kind of look like the scales on its wings. Or like you see here, we could use a blurred out photo of a meadow, maybe a dreamy bokeh effect to create this natural atmosphere that doesn't distract from the actual content. Okay, so we've got our look, the colors, the textures, that's all locked in. Now we need to build on that. Let's talk about the user experience. We're moving past what the butterfly looks like to capturing how it feels, that sense of lightness, that grace, that elegant movement of flight. And this just shows the difference so perfectly. Instead of a typical, dense, rigid, symmetrical layout, our butterfly-inspired site is all about open space, asymmetry, and flow. You want to imagine the content kind of floating on the page, maybe with some elements overlapping to create a sense of depth, just like a butterfly flitting through the air. Let's talk fonts. We can boil this down to 3 really simple steps to match our theme. First, just decide on the mood. Are we going for elegant or maybe something more whimsical? Second, pick a heading font that reflects that mood, maybe a nice flowing script. And third, and this is super important, pick a clean, readable sans serif font for all the main text. You always want to prioritize clarity. Okay, now for the magic. A static website can be gorgeous, but to really capture the feeling of a living thing, it has to feel alive. This section is all about using motion and interactivity to engineer that sense of grace into every single click and scroll. This idea is it's genius, seriously. Instead of a boring spinning wheel when the page loads, just imagine seeing a little animation of a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. It's not just a loading screen anymore, it's a little piece of storytelling. It instantly connects you to this theme of transformation and beauty. And that feeling of aliveness just continues in all these little details, these micro interactions. Maybe the navigation buttons are shaped like leaves, and they kind of flutter when you move your mouse over them. Or an image gallery could open up just like a butterfly's wings. These small, subtle touches are what make the whole experience feel dynamic and, honestly, kind of enchanting. So, piece by piece, we've basically built our conceptual website. But what's the bigger lesson here? The real takeaway goes way beyond just this one butterfly. It points to this massive source of creativity that is literally all around us. There's a quote from the source material that just sums it all up perfectly. The goal is to go past just making something that looks good and, through really careful observation, create an experience that is emotionally resonant. That is the key. That's what makes something truly stick with you. And that kind of brings us to our final question. This process we just walked through, going from a butterfly to a color palette to an interactive design, you could apply that to almost anything. A cracked piece of pavement, a city skyline at dusk, a seashell. So the real question to leave you with is, what inspiration is hiding out there in your world, just waiting for you to find it?